You're listening to Bedroom Beethovens, where notable music makers break down stories accompanied by songs and melodies documenting growth through their 10,000-hour journey. And me? Well, my name is Cello, your host.
I am a bedroom Beethoven.
Hello and welcome everybody to episode 122 of the podcast.
Yo, what up, cousin? Welcome to the sounds of Mount Vernon. You know what it is. All these beats that you're about to hear were created between the years of 1995 and 1999.
My guest this week is...
My name is Grap Luva. I'm hail from the wonderful town of Mount Vernon, New York, home of the King Heavy D, of course, Albie Shore, my brother Pete Rock. I produced for a notable MC named J Live, a song called Them That's Not, and another song called Vampire Hunter J. I've done a remix for a group called Polyrhythmatics, which involves the legendary DJ Spinner. I produced for my brother, actually, as well. Him and Method Man rhymed over a beat that I created. They did a song called Half Man, Half Amazing. So, just a few of the things that I can kind of remember. People probably could be like, well, don't forget this and that.
For the first time he met Dilla, dancing with Heavy D on Arsenio Hall show, playing basketball with Felicia Rashad's son, the downfall of Elektra Records, and the hip-hop history surrounding D-Da, I&I, Robbo, and what lies ahead, as we chat about all things Grap Luva. Before we jump into the show, a lot of people hit me up asking, hey man, how can I support the show? And I'll tell you the same thing every time. Patreon.com/Bedroom Beethovens is the best way, $1 or $2, to show your love, and I'll show some back by giving you access to show perks. Thanks to everyone who has subscribed to the YouTube channel, and of course this podcast is available wherever it is you get podcasts. Thank you to everyone who supports, listens, shares, and subscribes. If you know someone who might like a deep dive musical podcast, why not tell them about this show? All right, from Texas to Mount Vernon, let's connect and sit back. Enjoy the show. But let's once and for all, I want to settle some Mount Vernon trivia, because according to who you speak to, they'll say that the late Darkman X was born in Baltimore, but he was indeed born in Mount Vernon.
No, he was born in Mount Vernon, New York. He has family there. He then moved to Yonkers. I forget at what age, but he moved to Yonkers at a young age, and he was raised in Yonkers. Most of his life took place there.
There you go.
And besides from being in and out of group homes and things of that nature.
But the biggest W for Mount Vernon is most recently, a big win for Mount Vernon was Felicia Rashad got appointed the Dean of Fine Arts at Howard University. That's big.
Yeah, that's real dope. I was very cool with her son. Her son's named Billy. I remember one time playing basketball with Billy at the house, and I went up for a layup, and somebody, hit me as I'm going up. So I got bumped in the air. So I crashed into the garage. Boom, make this big noise. And she comes out and she's looking and she's like, are you all right? I'm just sitting there stuck, like looking at her stuck, like, oh my God. Yo. I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. He's like, yeah, he's okay. She's like, oh, okay. And then she went back in the house. I mean, she used to stop traffic, man, when she came to the store, like where she lived up the hill from like a main street called Columbus Avenue in Mount Vernon. And we hung on that corner of Columbus and Lorraine. There's a pizza shop there. We used to hang there, and then across the street was a store called Superstop. And she would go there and get her paper or whatever. And man, she would stop traffic, bro. I swear to you. She would stop traffic.
That's wild, man.
Yep. But that's a biggie. That's a dope one. You know what I mean? I don't know if she was born in Mount. I don't believe she was born in Mount Vernon, but she definitely resided there for a good number of years.
Now, Heavy D gave you the name Grapp, of course, and now we
Yeah,
all love
yeah.
things. I love money, I love my kids, I love cars, but I don't think I have a strong enough connection with
Hmm.
loving things where I think I would put it in my moniker or my alias. What were you so in love with at the
Right.
time where you were like, "Yeah, I'm a lover. I'm a lover of things." Grap
Yeah,
Luva.
yeah. Love of dance, love of good music, love of beautiful women. You know, just a love of a lot of positive things. You know what I mean? I'm a person who likes to enjoy himself. You know what I mean? And live life. Try to live life as fun as I can. You know what I mean? Without being lost in the bliss. You know what I mean? So in terms of that, the lover, yeah, that's where that came from.
I was watching Heavy D on Arsenio, and he was rocking the orange shorts with the orange shirt, and he was talking about the iced tea beef, you know, just classic stuff.
Hmm.
And 8 years ago, I peep in the comments on YouTube, and there you were saying that you missed your big cuz, and I just thought that was awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I'm actually in that show. Yeah, he pulled out the flashlight and was talking about looking at the girls in the dark. That was a Carl Kanai suit he had on. That was the first time Carl Kanai ever been on national TV. His clothing.
Yeah, I remember he was performing in a yellow suit too, and he had G Wiz and T Roy, and they were all there. And
Yeah, that was
man,
that was earlier. That was before Troy passed. This the one you're talking about is after Troy passed with the when he talks about cop killer and all of that stuff. And he holds up the little flashlight and talking about how he look at girls in the club and all of that. That's he does you can't see what I can see.
yeah, I mean, I was watching that stuff like, man,
That yeah.
it was all classic. But you know, I'm going to embarrass the hell out of myself here. But you know, my introduction to Heavy D was when he came on Living Single, and you know, I was born in 1985, so you got to cut me a break.
Okay. No, you good, you good. It's all good, man. It's all good.
But you know, Cider House
Yeah.
Rules, Life, Baps, Are We There Yet? Law and Order, SVU, Tower High. That it was a
Yeah.
legitimate resume for acting. And when you guys were coming up, did he express interest in acting, or was that?
Yeah, he had the talent to do the acting thing. You know what I mean? He was always a guy who was like, just a guy, like a character, you know what I mean? But still an original dude, you know what I mean? He was just that type of a guy, man, where he was just like, he was just a character, man. Like it to me, his persona, you know what I mean, could make that happen, you know what I mean? You could build around that, you know what I mean, his persona, and it'd be like, yeah, I can even build a movie around this dude, you know what I mean, or I could see him in this role or doing this, you know what I mean. So that's the type of energy he always projected and always had to me. So that's what made it, made that transition for him probably not difficult at all.
That's awesome, man. And I know you mentioned T Roy passing. I'm probably going to embarrass myself even further here, but it was just last week that I made the connection that Troy, they reminisce over you, T Roy. I don't know. I didn't know the backstory, and I got to be honest. I had a very negative opinion of your brother, saying that nobody can ever use the California Dreamer sample in Troy. And I used to think, what producer can verbally claim a sample as theirs? But now, after knowing the backstory, I had no idea how personal that song was for CL and Pete. So, Pete, if you're listening, I apologize. But wow, I honestly had no idea. I'm not sure if that's even common hip hop knowledge or not, or only for like the old heads. But when I found that out, I was like, wow.
Yeah, that sample is very near and dear to him. That whole creation of that track is very, very near and dear to him. He was actually very depressed when he went to make that track. Out of that depression came that track. I was there for the recording, the first playback. Everybody cried. Charlie Brown from Leaders of the New School was there. He asked to do the hook, and my brother's like, "Nah, the horn is the hook." Yeah, so that track is very, very special to all of us, really, but very near and dear to Pete. Troy was like a big brother to him. Troy was the dude, when Pete got into a fight on the block, Troy was the one who would bring him to the fight and be like, all right, I got your back. This is a one-on-one. It's going to be fair. This is how it's going to go down. And, everybody respected that, and he did what he had to do and, took care of business. But Troy was like big bro, you know what I mean, for us. You know what I mean? He was the heart of that group and the glue in the heart of our block.
The youngest of 5 kids, hun, here it is. After 10 years without no spouse, mama's getting married in the house. Listen, positive over negative for the woman, a master. Mother queens rise in the chapter. Deja vu, tell you what I'm gonna do when they reminisce over you, my God.
People who don't know the history of that song, that's why when he says that, people who don't know the history of it and the nature of it, the sensitive nature of it, for him, they see it as him being selfish about the situation.
And correct me if I'm wrong on this timeline, but your 30th birthday 20 years ago was 9/11, and then also that same year your youngest daughter's born and you lose your father. Rest in peace. So that must have been just like a heavy year.
2001 was crazy, man. My dad passed April of 2001. September 11th, 2001 was, was my 30th birthday. A crazy day that day for me. And yes, my daughter was born that December of 2000. No, matter of fact, I'm sorry. My daughter was born before my dad passed. My daughter was born December of 2000. Then 2001, my dad passed. Then September 11th came and happened.
So all that like in a 9-month span. Oof.
Yeah. And I didn't even, I don't think I ever really processed it in that manner. I just was living it. And, my 30th birthday, I went to work and I was working at a middle school in Silver Spring, Maryland. And I went to work and somebody who came to me and was like, yo, a plane hit the World Trade Center. I thought some idiot flew a Cessna through the city. So I didn't think nothing of it. So then I'm walking more and somebody else came up to me and said, yo, aren't you from New York? I was like, yeah. He's like, yo, a plane hit the World Trade Center. I was like, what? All right, man, let me go see what this is about. I go over to the TV and I see the tower. The tower is smoking. Both of them are smoking by this time. So I'm looking like, whoa, what the heck happened here? And like within a minute of me standing there, maybe 2 minutes of me standing there, the first tower started falling. Boom. And one of my coworkers just busted out crying, man. She just jumped back and tears just came out of her eyes. She didn't even say anything. It was a crazy moment. That's when I learned that after that, I learned the Pentagon got hit. And my wife was working in the city at the time. So I had to go down there and go get her in my little hoopty. And my hoopty had no brakes. And I drove down there and everything was shut down. So there was like no trains running, no buses, nothing. People were just walking by the thousands through the street. And traffic was moving like 1 inch every 20 seconds. And I got down there through all of that and picked her up and picked up 2 of her friends and drove them to the train station and drove her home. And then I was like, I gotta go get a brake job. My brakes are crazy right now. Not knowing, I get to the place and put it on the thing. He literally looked at me and was like, you drove this here? I was like, yeah, that's how it got here. Like, he's like, nah, you were driving this around? I said, yeah, I've been driving it all day. He's like, yo, look, listen, man, this is a $1,100 brake job you're looking at. I was like, do me a favor, can you take that down? He's like, what? I said, yeah, I'm going home, man. We got $1,100. So I just drove it home, parked it, and then somebody stole it 2 weeks later. It got stolen. Little hoopty I had. But yeah, that was a crazy day, man. That was a crazy day. But yeah, that was all in the span of 9 months. Yeah.
I guess on a lighter note, like I know everyone in your family's in the music. How was your father's record collection divvied up? Like, were there some records of his that you just had to have?
Fly Girl by a group called Intrigue, with that Leroy Burgess produced. It was only a New York based label that made the record. It wasn't it's an independent New York based label that printed the record out, that put the record out. And I called the record out, and then I just started looking for it, and I found it within 10 minutes of me calling the record out. And I did not know where it was. I called the record and said, "Man, I have to find Fly Girl by Intrigue." And I started looking, and within not even 10, less than that, within 5 minutes of me calling that record, I found it in all of those records. I just looked somewhere. I just started looking through these 45, and I found it. I couldn't believe that I found it. The only thing I can attribute that to is the spirit of my father and God. That's the only thing I could attribute that to. That's never happened to me ever, 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 ever. Where I've called out a record in a place that I don't know where the record is and find it within 5 minutes of calling the name of the record. And if I showed you what my dad's records look like, you would trip out.
Here's a radio you've probably never seen or even heard of before.
Word up.
So I just went into a place of 45 and just started looking through them. And I swear to you, within 5 minutes, that record was in my hand. I couldn't believe it. I said, "Oh my God, I found it. Oh my God, I found it." I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I found it.
What about a record like is Pac Jam by the Johnson Crew somewhere in there as well?
That was a birthday record for me. Pac Jam by the Johnson Crew. That was a birthday record. Somebody gave me that for my birthday. I think it was my homegirl Tasha Williams from elementary school. We still cool to
Oh, you
this
got a
day.
good memory.
Yeah, we still cool to this day. I think it was her that gave me that record, Pac Jam, and by the Johnson Crew. I used to love that song. That was like one of my favorite songs to pop to, because I used to pop a lot. So dance, I love to.
It's funny. They discovered and produced New Edition and New Kids on the Block. They ushered in that era of the boy band.
Yeah, Michael Johnson. Yep.
Repping Two Hats Management. There was a production coordinator,
Ruddy
Heavy
Phillips.
D's cousin.
That's my oldest brother.
Yeah. So that song, One for Ruddy. So when people listen to that, it's kind of a somber track, or is it more meant to be uplifting and spiritual?
It's supposed to be uplifting. It's like a vibe about him. Like
Ruddy
that's how
Phillips.
to me it describes who he
16,
was. Like the first part of the
semi-scripted
beat.
radio interview. Take one.
Where it just, you just hear the sound, boom, boom. It sounds kind of a little rugged, and then it mellows out to that smooth track. That's how he was. You know what I mean? He had his rugged parts, and then he had but he was overall a smooth guy. You know what I mean? A smooth, very intelligent brother. You know what I mean? He was my oldest brother. He would have been 60 this year. I miss him dearly, man. He was very special to me. He was nothing I could ask him, and he would tell me no or I don't know. Either he knew it or we were looking it up to figure out what was the solution was, or whatever the case was.
I talked to Breeze Bruin on the podcast, and we talked about Elektra Records. And if you know this, it's kind of interesting because Breeze Bruin's also a teacher, and he also had a falling out with Elektra Records. And it's like I'm just wondering what's wrong with Elektra, man. You get critical acclaim for Center of Attention or The Life I Live, whichever is the proper title, and they shelved the project, so you guys get disbanded.
The album is called The Life I Live. Center of Attention is a bootleg. That's what they named it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if people didn't bootleg it, right now they're just now getting the goods. And I don't know, like Sylvia Roan, that name rings a bell, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And I imagine you're probably not the biggest fan of hers.
No, not really, no. Because she didn't believe in what we had going on. She didn't believe in that style of music anyway. She was there to make that corporation money. You know what I mean? So she went with what would make the corporation money. You know what I mean? And it was the music of the other artists, Busta solo, being a soloist, Old Dirty, Missy, other groups who had more of a stronger selling point. You know what I mean? DOS effects. And so, and then altogether, even those people probably have their own stories of how she handled things or whatever. Or maybe they have great relationships or great situations. I'm not certain, but I know that we didn't get the focus that those other people got at all. You know what I mean? They didn't really give it a chance. They gave us a single, a video, and that was that.
Yeah, and it's a shame that she is 70 years old and she just got promoted to CEO of Epic Records.
See, that's. I mean, she's a gatekeeper, man. She's gonna be there. She has to ensure that other music is there dominating the situation, not music that's gonna really stimulate your, provide some type of mental power to you. You know what I mean, or spiritual power to you. Nah, we're not here to empower you. We're here to entertain you and kind of almost drug you with the music. You know what I mean? So yeah, so they got to keep her there. So she's a gatekeeper. So she's not going anywhere till she drops. She passes away. And I don't mean, I'm not saying I want her to pass away. Never that. You know what I mean? I'm just saying until she leaves or retires or whatever, however it goes. But she'll be there. She's a
Well, I
gatekeeper.
mean, I even see you still correcting people on
Yeah.
Twitter about D-Daw's name, and there's just, barely breaking even records. I think they put out Jazzy Jeff's The Return of the Magnificent. Like, they couldn't even help. Even with the previous report of Pete Rock, like Lost and Found Underground Soul Classics, he made no money off of it. They spelled his name wrong. And it's just like, it's almost like they did it on
I don't
purpose.
know if they got that from the bootleggers or how that situation really went with that whole BBE thing. Because that version of it is the bootleg version as well. So it's not the original version. And then Pete's relationship with them ended up, not going well. They end up parting ways or whatever. So I don't even really honor that
You
record.
got this new, the Rob O project in you guys have been talking about. I don't know how deep you are into it, but are you?
That project with Robbo, it's very difficult for us to find the time to really work on it because he's a fire chief in Mount Vernon, New York. He's the chief of the fire department there. So, he's very busy. His schedule is constantly full and moving, and he has three beautiful children and a beautiful wife. And he's between that and spending time with his family, I'm sure it's probably a challenge for him to find time to record. He has been writing. I will say he has been writing, but in terms of him finding time to record, I think that's been a challenge for him. It has been a total hiatus for music. I'll be honest. I haven't made a beat since like '99, man. I mean, I've taken my tracks and like played with them, remixed them, whatever. But I haven't made like the one time I made one beat. I was teaching summer program called Achievers, and the summer program was called Guerrilla Arts. It was ran by Gabriel Ben, who AKA Asheru, um, who did the Boondocks theme. Yeah, Asheru, Gabriel Ben. He did a summer program where he had different artists from DC who would have whatever talent they had, they would teach it. So you had songwriters there teaching songwriting. You had like graphic artists teaching graphic arts, computer artists, dancers teaching dance, producers, hip hop, producers teaching hip hop production and things of that, and MCs teaching you how to write rhymes, all of that stuff. So it was like a after school. It was like a program within this program that was for high school kids. So that was the last time I made a track. I made a track while I was working in there, and they put it on this. They put it on like this little mixtape they made for the program. But that was it. Other than that, yeah, I haven't made a beat in years. Like I want to get back to it. I have a plan for a EP coming soon. Um, an instrumental EP where I'm gonna take some of my tracks and like do some other things that I'm like try to find people to play over it and you know different things like that. Try to spruce up the tracks a little bit so they don't sound too flat or old or whatever the case may be. Because at the end of the day, people always have their opinions about what's going on and what I'm doing and what I'm not doing or whatever the case may be. But I'm not tripping off of that, man. Some people dig it, some people don't. So, people saying I didn't make nothing in 20 years. Yeah, I haven't. I really haven't. I'm not, pressed to really create like that. If I create when the feeling hits me to do so. You know what I mean? I feel that's the best moments to do it when you really want to do it and you really feel like you should be doing it.
So this has nothing to do with you not believing in your creativity. You just have to be inspired.
It has something to do with that too. The believing in my creativity thing. It's a little bit of both. Inspiration, motivation as well. Knowing that what I create is dope. You know what I mean? I don't always feel like that.
Do you know if you go to J Live's Spotify page, his most streamed song is Them That's Not. 20 years later, it's still his number one most streamed song. So the evidence is there, man.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. Like, and I see, like, stuff like that. I know, like, I know that he and I created a hit record. I know. Like, it's certain spots that I know. Yeah, I stood up right here. This is a shine. This is a shining moment right here. This is a shining. Like Half Man, Half Amazing. Them That's Not. Those are shining moments. Even Wonderlust, because that was like a how high moment. Like not on no weed tip, but like got beats, I got rhyme. I got a beat. You got rhymes? Yeah, all right, let's do this joint. I forget how Denise Weeks even got there. I think we met Denise at another event. We met her at another event. I think we just invited her to the studio that day, and she came down and sang on the song. But
Did you see Denise Weeks on X Factor like 8 years ago?
no, she was.
Yeah, she sung Whitney Houston's The Greatest Love of All in front of Kelly Rowland, Demi Lovato, and Simon Cowell.
Wow, I gotta look that
Yeah,
up.
look it up on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, she was. So her background story was her husband died, and she's singing on the subway. That's her full time job to support her kids.
Oh,
And
wow.
this was in 2013. She was 41 years old, and like she sung, and then Simon Cowell cut her off and said she needs to sing a cappella, and she just blew the house down.
Wow. Wow. I gotta see that, man. Oh, that's beautiful, man. And we worked with her, man. And then after we worked with her, Jim Jones worked with her. And that's beautiful, man. That's a compelling story too. To hear her, I didn't know that. Like once we did that song, man, I kind of lost contact with her. And then I heard on the Jim Jones record, and I was like, wow, I was very happy for her. Beautiful woman. You know what I mean? She's a beautiful woman. She was a dope spirit. She was very cool, very down to earth. We just went in and just told her, yo, just, sing this. Like, you know what I mean? And just gave her something to sing and she sang it. Like, you know what I mean? And that was it. I don't know if my man Mechalicious gave it a hook. Or I gave it a hook. One of us gave it a hook. It was either me or Mech. And she sang that joint. Finally took it to Molly's house. And I swear to you, Molly touched those drums for like 30 seconds, man. And what you hear is Molly's mix of the drums. That's why somebody sampled those drums and used them off of Wonderlust. Because those drums are so daggone crispy.
Oh, that's
Molly
a.
did those.
Let me ask you a little bit about those songs. Like
So
you take a song like A Tribe Called Quest, Find a Way, and you have the privilege to be present in a moment before that song has lyrics, before it's claimed. So when you're with your brother and Dilla and he plays Find a Way, We Be Them, Players, are you just like, how much for that beat? Is that beat taken? Oh, that's hot. Give it to me. Or is that disrespectful because Dilla already has people in mind for the joints he creates and you're just there as a peer to enjoy and listen?
I would have never said anything like that. How much for that beat? Never that. Because at that time I didn't look at myself as a MC like that, worthy of even asking Dilla for a beat. You know what I mean? But later on, he did ask me about me doing music, and it was crazy because it was 2 years before he passed. Nah, it was so how that went. We were he picked us up from the airport in Detroit. He picked us up from the airport, and he picked us up. So he's playing Main Ingredient when we get to the car. Like we open the car door, and Main Ingredient is blaring out the car. So we like, oh snap! So big smile. What up, though? All of that. He give us the big smile, and we talking and everything, and we riding, and he's playing that. So Pete's like, man, nah, f that, man. Play your stuff, man. Play us some of your stuff. I was like, word, yeah, we want to hear that. So he then took out the Main Ingredient, and that's when he put in We Be Them. He played Find a Way instrumental. He played Players. You know what I mean? And it was just a moment. You know what I mean? Just absorbing the greatness of this young man. That never comes into me or my brother's mind. It's about the art. It's about the creation. It's about the soul of the music. You know what I mean? Hell no, that would have been some corny shit to do. Like to ask about the price of a beat. Is that taken? Or let me get that's some bullshit. Nah. You don't do that to greats like that. You just listen and absorb and enjoy. I felt like a fly on the wall in that situation. You know what I mean? Because I'm amongst two of the greatest. You know what I mean? A great that we're about to witness this greatness. We got a taste of it, but we're about to witness it full on. And then a great who's already, established, who's pretty much cemented itself as a great one. You know what I mean? So I just, I'm sitting there amongst them guys. When they I went with them record shopping, and I didn't pick nothing. I picked up Cameo, Skin I'm In, some crazy shit. You know what I mean? There was so many records where he took us. I think it's called Car City Records. It was so many records where he took like 2 floors, man. Mad records, and they just in there going ham, digging, I'm just milling around looking at them, like just watching them in amazement, like, wow, look at these two dudes, man. They just going crazy with these records. And I'm in there just watching, you know what I mean? And just observing, you know what I mean? A lot of my incidences in hip hop were kind of fly on the wall situations. Some incidences I tried to participate, and some of them panned out, some of them did. You know what I mean? I tried the one time just a side note, I was shopping beats to Smith and Wesson one time, and I remember meeting all of those guys. And Sean Price he's a wild dude. Meeting him and everything. But yeah, just sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't. You know what I mean? That didn't, because that came from me doing a promo. They did a Future Flavors promo over one of my beats. So once they liked the beat that they rocked over, so they, come play me some joints. So I went down there, played them some joints, but we never went any further with it. So.
I think, arguably at 50 years of age, your visibility is at an all-time high. I see you on interviews, articles. You're celebrating and talking about I more now than maybe, at least on social media. So maybe people can catch up on your music. I know that you said there's an EP coming out. What can they expect from you through the year, and where can they find you on the internet?
I'm going to try to put out another instrumental EP through my homie's music endeavor called Humble Monarch Recordings. Roddy Rod, my man DJ Roddy Rod, he's going to help me. He's the one who I put out the Sounds of Mount Vernon with, the instrumental album that I did. I'm only on one social media at a time. I'm kind of a weirdo with that. I don't like multitasking when it comes to social media. I like doing one at a time. So I'm on Twitter. My Twitter name is Hev named me Grapp. Hev named me Grapp. That's my Twitter name. And that's it really, just here trying to, enjoy life and move through this life as blissfully, as humbly and as well as I can, and have as much fun and learn as much as I can in the process.
I'm glad I was able to catch you at this kind of crossroad where you're getting newly inspired, and I appreciate your time.
No, it's all good. I appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me and everything, and even to hear my story, man. You know what I mean? I'm very humbled by that, thankful. So appreciate you, Will, definitely.